Broadcasting on Star Worldwide Networks. It's Two Small Biz Guys. And now, here are your hosts, Zen Benefiel and Ray Silverstein.
And welcome to Two Small Biz Guys. Ray, how you doing today?
It is a super day. I'm looking out the window and the sun is out there and blue skies. And I hope it's not raining the day people listen to this, but right now it's wonderful.
It absolutely is. And speaking of wonderful, we have an absolutely amazing woman as our guest today. Just a little bit about her before I actually introduce her. She was a founder and executive director of Local First Arizona, which is the largest business coalition in America with over 3,000 members, and they've got 4 offices statewide. She was the 24th.
So you're saying she's not second, she's local first, right?
She is numero uno.
And where is she located?
Well, she's right here in Phoenix. Now, what I want to do, though, is just to give a little bit more of her background, because, like I say, she really is an amazing woman. She was the 2014 Citizen Leader of the Year from the International Economic Development Council. She was a 2013 Distinguished Citizen Planner Award, or she received that from the American Planning Association. She was a 2011 listed as the 50 most influential women in Arizona from the Arizona Business Magazine.
What happened in 2012?
Yeah, well, she was still climbing.
Oh, she was so busy from the previous year that she had to get all those awards. She's a forward thinker. That's why she had 2013 and 2014.
And she's local first, right?
Right.
Arizona. 2013 Athena Award from the Greater Phoenix Chamber of Commerce, and the 2014 Leader of the Year in Public Policy from the Arizona Capital Times. I'd like to welcome Kimber Lanning.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be with you two.
We're glad to have you. It's not only distinguished, but with all those awards, I would be extinguished.
It's been a busy little while here in my life, for sure.
Yeah. Now, you founded the organization in 2003, but as I recall, you were doing some things toward that direction even before that. What got you started, and you know, how did you see things involving the business community and how you could support that?
So that's right. I've known you for quite some time, and I had a music store, which just on May 1st.
We don't want to talk about age now.
Just on May 1st.
That's the old guy over there.
I'm so old I forgot.
We celebrated 29 years at my music store. It's called Stinkweeds in downtown Phoenix, and I used to joke
Still
with
on Camelback?
people. Used to tell people regularly that I'm actually a social worker, cleverly disguised as a record store owner. So I was really interested in retaining bright young people. I mean, those were my customers, and they all were growing up and scratching and clawing to get out of Arizona. And I thought, how can I play a role in helping them better connect here and have opportunity here to create their lives and grow their families? And then from there, I opened up an art gallery on what is today Roosevelt Row, which is our downtown arts district. For those of you around the country, you may have heard about it. We just won top 10 arts districts in the country from USA Today.
And that's really grown over the last 20 years, too.
Well, it's phenomenal. You know, I opened in the late 90s, and there were 2 other businesses on the street at the time, and it was a hubcap shop and a liquor store. And we watched the complete transformation of the neighborhood to close to 30 art galleries, 5 restaurants, 3 coffee shops, a couple of wine bars, and a light rail stop that says Arts District.
One that I remember that's rather hard to pronounce was Metropophobia.
Metropophobia, that's right. And Peter Reagan ran that. It was a fantastic art space downtown.
Phoenix Forge was down there, too.
Yeah, and of course, let's not forget Mars, and everything that Beatrice Moore has done has been incredible, and the Alwyn House over on
Ken Moody.
On 11th.
Can I take you on a slight detour?
Sure.
When you
detour.
I know, but when you started that, you mentioned that there were these 2 other establishments. What gave you the foresight to want to bring an art the facility into this locale. I mean, how did you envision this?
So at the time, with my little music store, we were having live music performances in the store 3, 4, 5 nights a week in a record store. And on the walls, I always encouraged the local artists to show their work there. And we were booked out at a record store every month. We were booked out over a year in advance. So I started asking a lot of these younger folks why the record store, and they really didn't have an avenue. So then I started really kind of thinking holistically about the entire community. And one of the things that I noticed is that ASU could be churning out top-notch degrees in the arts. So you could get a degree in choreography. I mean, world-class things happening over there. And yet our municipalities had rebuilt the same giant arts institution over and over again. And what I mean by that is you got Mesa Center for the Arts. You got Chandler Center for the Arts. You've got the West Valley Center for the Arts. You've got the Herberger Theater Center. You got the Orpheum, Scottsdale Center for the Performing Arts, and on and on and on. Tempe Center for the Arts. Those are wonderful institutions, but they're replicas in a sense because they're fighting for the same events, right? I mean, They duke it out every year for Cats and Phantom of the Opera, and they sit empty a lot of the day. What we really needed was somebody to have the foresight to say, we need quality 200 and 300 seat theaters, professionally run theaters, to allow young graduates and professionals to cut their teeth and get out of emerging artists into professional artists. And so Modified, to answer your question, was an attempt that to really be the springboard to enable young professionals to cut their teeth and build their careers here. And we did 3 to 5 performances a night, 5 to 7 nights a week for 12 straight years. And it really did enable a lot of young people to stay here in Phoenix and build their careers. And so it was a much needed outlet.
Well, it's because it's interesting, because one of the attributes of a business leader is the ability to predict. And so if you look at an environment and you look at something and you say, I'm in a certain business or I'm going to start a business, you have to be able to predict that this society or this group or this whatever is going to support your vision. So you have the interesting capability of going into something that you would say, why would you even be there in the first place, and envision something and predict and take the action to build that.
Well, I was there for about a year and a half by myself, and then my neighbors, Greg Esser and Cindy Dash, came in and said, would you mind if we bought the building next door? We were thinking of opening an art gallery. And they actually were concerned that I would be mad. And of course, I jumped up and hugged them because 2 art galleries is better than 1.
Absolutely.
And so we started marketing everything together. I mean, I remember when First Friday was 200 people. And for those of you around the country, First Friday regularly attracts 30,000 people to downtown Phoenix. It's the largest
It's an amazing event now.
Our largest in the country. And so
including Phoenix Public Transit that provides buses to cart people around.
That's right. So really, what my interest in building a better city started long ago and was really focused on a holistic approach to opportunities for the next generation. We have too many too many bright young people leaving Arizona. Now, that's really changed over the last 10 years.
When I first moved here in 81, there were 30,000 people coming into the valley and I think 15,000 leaving.
Every year over year, we would get exactly 1/2 of the number that moved here to move away. And those were mostly young people that were leaving and older people that were coming. And so we really had to fight hard. I mean, I'm still in touch with many of those people, and they've done brilliant things in somebody else's city, which, I get a little competitive about.
Sure.
So, I was very, very engaged with small businesses. And really, when you think about what happened on Roosevelt Row, that is the power of what small businesses can do when they are like-minded, synergistic, and they're interested in truly collaborating. That's exactly right. We reduced crime by 62% and created hundreds of jobs. We really played a key role in transforming downtown Phoenix. We don't get a lot of credit for that today, but we really did. At the time, nobody wanted to be there.
Okay, let me take you back to Local First, because you talked about your business activity, which Zen asked you about. So what gave you the insight to get involved with Local First or to really want to do this?
Right. I launched Local First in 2003, and I can tell you the exact moment. I was standing in line next to a woman who was just chit-chatting, total stranger, and she was telling me how great Chicago is. And, we're here.
We wouldn't know anything about that, huh, Ray?
We're here in Arizona.
A little bit.
Some of you are nodding and you know what I mean, and others don't. But if you are in Arizona, then undoubtedly you know folks from Chicago, and they're going to tell you how great Chicago is. So, I was thinking, okay, yeah, I've heard it all before. And then at one point she leaned in close, as if sort of confidentially, and she said, "Boy, you guys sure have made a mess out here in Arizona." And I said, "Oh, wait."
Ooh.
I go, "You guys."
Them's fighting words.
And I said, wait a minute. You don't live here? And she said, "No, I live here." I said, "You haven't lived here very long." And she said, "No, I've lived here 15 years. I said, "So who the heck is you guys? You're one of us now." Think about that. She was so disconnected from our community that she actually didn't think she was part of the issue at all. So, I submit to you that if you want to fix the education system in Arizona, first we have to have a community that feels totally accountable for it. So that's a true story. So I started doing a survey, and I found everybody that I could find from Chicago. And I asked them why they love Chicago so much. And in a million ways and in a million voices, it made me laugh because they told me, in a lot of different ways, they told me the locally owned businesses. They started by saying, "I love the chefs.
Why did they leave?
I love the restaurants." They said, "I love the walkable streets. And I love the cute little shops that were in my neighborhood. I knew all the store owners." They might have even said, "I had the same barber for 40 years. And I come out here in Arizona and all you have is Supercuts." And I said, "Wait a minute, Supercuts? Give me 20 minutes. I'll find you 20 local barbers." And they're always like, "Really? Where?" So think about this. They behaved in a totally localized manner in Chicago. They moved to Arizona, and they throw that out the window, and they end up at all the big box stores and the big chain restaurants, and they have a completely average experience, and they don't ever feel connected here. So I started
because they
Local
left the
First.
connections back there
That's
and came
right.
here and
That's
just
right.
thought, okay, everything's gone to the wind. I don't know anybody here, so I'm going to
Well,
go to
And I'm gonna
everything that's
close my
directed.
garage door at the end of the day, and
Right.
I don't know my neighbors. So
I'm going to pay attention to the advertising.
But it
and
also
I get-
means you got to go to work at it too. I mean, when you move into a new community,
You have to
even
make some
though
effort, absolutely.
You cut the cord from the old. You have to be willing to put the energy and the effort into finding new. But so when you started this and you found that there was this disconnect from because a lot of people come here and therefore they have maybe these relations or whatever back. So how did you get Arizona First up? What were you had this epiphany after this conversation. What were your first steps to really get this rolling?
well, you're going to laugh.
I think it
but-
was an epiphany, not an epiphany.
No.
I sat down with the Yellow Pages. True story. It's hard to believe, but just 13 years ago, we were using the Yellow Pages.
Yep.
And
Fingers were walking everywhere.
I called every company in the Yellow Pages that had an ad that said, "In business in Arizona since 1965," or "family owned and operated," and I just started cold calling them. And now I owned a business myself, so it wasn't like I wasn't selling anything. I called all of them, and I started out, my two first members were Monty's La Casa Vieja and Changing Hands Bookstore. And I said, "Hey, are you guys as upset as me that we don't have a voice?" I mean, at this particular time, our municipalities, our cities were giving away massive subsidies. Cabela's out in Glendale got a $68 million subsidy. Bass Pro in Mesa, $32 million subsidy. They were outraged too. So we started our coalition that way, just knocking on doors one at a time.
And that's how citizen action takes
That's
place.
exactly
But they have to
right.
have someone like you that says, "Hey, we need to do this," and you go out and you make the effort to make it happen.
Well, yeah, and then
I mean,
obviously I am.
Back when we first met,
So
you
have-
were everywhere.
So have you
Right.
always been an instigator,
Yeah.
even back in grammar school?
Oh yeah, I fourth grade was when I staged my first protest.
Oh,
We'll
I was
find
outraged.
out more about that. I want to talk about that
That's right.
protest. I want
had
to know
a
about
letter
that.
to the principal and everything. It was great.
All right. Well, we'll be right back with you. We're going to take a break for some messages, and we'll be right back. Thanks for listening to Two Small Biz Guys.
Two Small Biz Guys with Zen and Ray. We'll be back after this.
The digital world is vast. Is it working for you? Would you like some qualified help? Zen Benefiel is a wonder with social media who leads focused and organized workshops on multiple platforms like Facebook, Google+, and LinkedIn. He leads by example, not theory, and teaches you how to live large and lively on the web. From blogs to SEO, his web presence speaks for itself. Take advantage of his expertise. Visit BeTheDream.com and click on Web Wizardry. Hire him while you can.
As a business owner, have you ever felt alone at the top? You don't have to be. Ray Silverstein has worked with many business owners for over 20 years facilitating peer advisory boards. He is the proverbial mentor and tormentor. A Pro President's Peer Advisory Board is a confidential monthly meeting of non-competitive owners that give support, feedback, and knowledge. They know the adage, all of us are smarter than one of us. He has walked in your shoes, having owned and sold 2 companies with sales in excess of $60 million and approximately 1,300 employees. In Young President's organization, he participated in peer advisory boards and felt it was a key to his success. His passion is to help small business owners succeed. He knows peer boards work when you are open, don't feel like you know it all, are willing to put issues on the table, and willing to take criticism. Be his guest at a Pro Advisory Board meeting to see if it works for you. There's no commitment to join, and you'll have a great experience. To sample a free Pro Business Owner Peer Board, email ray@propres.com. That's ray@propres.com. There's no commitment or charge. You're listening to Two Small Biz Guys. Now, back to your hosts, Zen Benefiel and Ray Silverstein.
Welcome back. We're here with Kimber Lanning, the founder and director of Local First Arizona. And
No. She's the 4th grade instigator.
Well, I'm getting to that.
That's really more important to me.
I'm having a difficult time because she is so slight and so powerful now, but I can imagine what she was like back in the 4th grade. So what was the protest about?
Well, the protest was about, it actually wasn't about me. I had a girlfriend that was tall and clumsy, but she was very smart. And they wouldn't allow her to be on the honor roll because she got a D in PE. Oh. She was always the last to be picked at kickball. She couldn't kick a ball or swing a bat to save her life.
None of the brainiacs could.
What does that have to do with being on the honor roll? And
Right.
I thought it was unfair. So I brought it up with the teacher, and the teacher said, well, that's the rules. And when you come from a household like mine, rules are, that's like fighting
Rules?
words. Yeah.
Yeah,
So my
what
father
rules?
was a jazz musician, and my mother owned an art gallery. And so my mom, I was in kindergarten, and my mom was sending me out the door, and the last thing I'd hear is, you just remember, Kimber, nobody can make you do anything. That was my mom's big advice. And when you're a kindergartner, you're like, your fist flying, I don't have to do it your way. And so I went straight to the principal, and then I can't even tell you, in high school, I threw a fit because our principal on the announcements called our best teacher Mrs. Barnhill. He called her Mr. Barnhill on the morning announcements, and I was up out of that classroom and out the door, and she goes, it's okay, Kimber, you don't have to. I marched right into his office and said, that's the best teacher you got. You got to show her more respect than that. So I generally get worked up, mostly when it's not even about me. I believe in fairness and justice.
Well, you've never been just about you. You've been about organizing, getting people together to work effectively to change the environment and the landscape or business-scape of Phoenix and Arizona.
Really, in the heart of that is justice, though. When you start how badly does it hurt me when somebody says, Cabela's is cheaper? Well, clearly you're not understanding how the economy works, because if they took your government money and subsidized them, that's deferred billing, sweetheart. You know what I mean? That's
exactly.
not a cheaper price.
And especially now, small business is becoming the backbone of America because so many people have had to adjust. They've left jobs, they've been fired, laid off, what have you, because jobs have been shipped elsewhere. And now they're fighting for survival. So they're starting their own businesses, they're building, they need help.
The
And
economy,
you provide some of that.
Absolutely, and the economy should work for everyone. This country was built on inclusive economy. Everybody should have opportunity, and if you look at the policies we've passed over the last 20 to 25 years, they have all favored corporate entities, and we're getting away from that. And certainly the public has bought into this notion that cheap is better. And you simply can't offshore and expect those cheap prices and then expect everybody to have a job.
But isn't there also a responsibility of the small business owner to also to create the differentiation in the relationships with customers, so that there is a price point? No, I used to be in the manufacturing business, and the aspect is I sold the business because this is back in 1985, because we manufacture mechanics tools, and I recognized that I couldn't compete on price.
Yep.
So either I would have to go to China, at that time it was Taiwan, and manufacture, or just to get out of the business.
Mm-hmm.
But the aspect is you have to create a differentiation, because our price point even was always higher, because we felt we had a value that was there that was greater. So people today sell on either relationship, and when they come in at a small retail store, they enjoy being there. They're recognized. People know who they are. And if you don't create that relationship, you're going to lose that business.
There's no doubt. And that's one of my mantras is customer service. We can always differentiate by customer service. I have a funny story in my record store. I had a kid who came in and he was looking around, and I tried talking to him, and he was kind of quiet, and I asked if I could help, and he said no. And I said, come on, you're looking for something, tell me. He said, well, I'm kind of embarrassed.
You're going to tell me it's Frank Sinatra.
No, he was kind of embarrassed, and he said he had a girlfriend he wanted to make a mixtape for, all love songs, but he didn't know what he wanted. He was kind of embarrassed, and I was like, oh gosh, don't be embarrassed. So I opened up a bunch of CDs.
That's
and
so
sat
cool,
there,
though.
Chatted about it, and he ended up buying a stack of used CDs. And as he was leaving, he had his hand on the door, and he turned and said, I wonder what would have happened if I'd asked that question at Best Buy. Right, and so the question is, it's laughable to think that somebody would stop and spend an hour with you in a
First
big,
of all, Best
big
Buy
store.
doesn't have any used CDs.
No, they don't. But the point is, in my store, it doesn't matter. You know, if you could walk in the door and say, I haven't heard a new artist in 20 years, but I know I like X, Y, and Z from this era, and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to find something that you like, and that's something that those other stores couldn't do. Now they can't even compete with me on anything. I mean, they barely have anything in stock anymore. They got out of the music business, and I'm glad I stayed in, because vinyl is all the rage, and we just had our best year ever in 29 years. Everybody wants a record player and records again. It's a beautiful thing.
That's a wonderful recycle.
Now you tell me that after I just sold my record collection.
You should have sold them to me. I paid top dollar.
It was all in Chicago. So.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. It is about relationships, and it's about customer service and offering that unique experience, and that's really what the next generation wants.
So when you have with local Arizona with that, and you're dealing with the you're dealing with the retailers and other parties. So what do you actually do to promote the business? Do you give them assistance? You do suggestion at PRS to buy locally? What is the main focal point?
Sure. So one thing you said, not manufacturing. We do have manufacturing in Local First Arizona as well. So in our 3,000 businesses, we have anything from agriculture to manufacturing to restaurant retail to business services. It's a wide variety of things. And so depending on the kind of business, we have different things that we offer. So the first thing I will say is that you get into a database that is searched 64,000 times a month for people that are looking for local solutions. So we really do recommend building a good listing in our directory, which will help with your own. This is the second thing you get, is an increased search engine optimization. Mm-hmm. So oftentimes when somebody's looking for a business, their listing on our directory comes up.
And where do they go first? Google.
Yeah, well, even in a Google search, we'll help the company get found just by linking to us. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. In a Google search for, like, let's just say you were doing watch repair in Tucson. If you just Googled watch repair Tucson, we've got a member that used to be on the 14th page, and now they come up as this number 6th business just because they joined us
because
in our
of the backlinks.
SEO. That's right. So that's another value add. We do seminars. We do in-person events. We do marketing and promotion. We have 180,000 social media followers. We have newsletters.
Your mixers are great, by the way.
Oh, great. Thanks. Yeah. 30,000 people a week get our newsletters, and really 9,000 people a month read our blog. So we invite our businesses to blog about their expertise. We have just a wide variety of ways for them to engage. Other things that we can do, for example, let's say you joined and you're a nonprofit organization. We can help a nonprofit organization do a call to vendors. Let's say they're doing a fundraiser and they want restaurants to be there. They want people to donate in, gift cards, whatever it might be. We can put out a call to the rest of our membership. In addition, we can help them market that event to get some attendance there. Other organizations reach out to us for a wide variety of things. And another thing that I can do, if it's a bigger company, we're not all about small businesses. Our biggest members are companies like Infusionsoft, GoDaddy, Harkins Theaters, Hickman's Eggs, Shamrock Dairy Products. Those are all Arizona companies. Yeah. We can go in and actually sit down with their sales team. We did this with several companies. Hensley comes to mind, and help their sales guys, what we call leverage their localness. A lot of them realize they work for Hensley, but they don't necessarily think of Hensley as being any different than one of their big non-local competitors. So I go in and help them learn the language around, hey, did you know that when you switch your account to Hensley, 3 times more of that money stays in the local economy and recirculates here? And it does so because Hensley has local accountants and graphic designers and website developers and payroll service providers. They are a local company. When you buy the same products from a non-local company, they don't hire any secondary jobs here. So the tertiary jobs there's no dollars recirculating here. So we help them learn the language around how to pitch a new client.
Is that what you mean by leveraging your localness?
That's right.
So you teach them how to do that, or you teach them to use that as a marketing positioning?
Mm-hmm, absolutely. So the studies were done initially about 12 years ago that showed for every $100 you can spend in a locally owned business, roughly 3 times more of that money will stay and recirculate in the local economy versus spending that same $100 in a chain store. And by the way, while I'm on that, the newest study just came out and showed that we measured jobs. If you spend $10 million at locally owned businesses, you're going to create and sustain 114 jobs. If you spend $10 million in America at chain stores, you only create and sustain 50 jobs. But the most new study just came out, and it showed that if you spend $10 million on Amazon, you get 14 jobs. So Americans have some pretty tough choices to make. Do we want to order everything from home and have it be convenient, or do we want vibrant, exciting lifestyles and downtowns that are vibrant?
Well,
and
you mentioned the
interesting,
convenience.
So,
There's many things that people choose to do because it's easy. Taking the step to create a larger picture of their lives, their interaction in the community, means you got to get up off your butt, get out into the community, look around, make some phone calls, even find things on the web. Mm-hmm. So how do you see that evolving into the organization, first of all, and how that's spilling out into the future and the growth in Arizona and the impact on not just the local economy, but the local environment itself?
Okay, but I also like to get some other additional thoughts, because you mentioned...
Oh, we're pummeling her now.
I know that. It's okay. She enjoys it because she's an instigator and a fighter and a struggle, whatever.
She loves the challenge.
But the aspect is, you mentioned the internet. You didn't say it directly, but you kind of referred to it. And the internet is a major, major issue for retail. And because of cost structure and everything else. So all these activities that Zen had mentioned. So how does Local First, basically bring this to bear so people really will shop locally and not have the convenience factor?
Well, first of all, there's a big assumption there.
It's so-called convenience factor, because you have a problem. What do you do with it? What do you do on pricing? If there's a mistake, what do you do?
Yeah, well, there's that, but there's several locally owned businesses that are very competitive online and have exceptional ability to order online. Changing Hands Bookstore is a perfect example. You can order your books from them, and you can either have them delivered just as you would on Amazon, or you can pick them up at either one of their valley-wide locations. But to your point, you say so-called convenience. There are other companies that have, like, for example, Scott's Marketplace here in Arizona. There are others around the country, but look at scottsmarketplace.com. That is an online portal just for local products. So if I don't want to drive around to 15 different boutiques to buy something for my nephew and my mom and somebody else at the holidays, I can go to scottsmarketplace.com and buy 15 different things from 15 different stores all in one portal. So there are solutions that are available that are coming. My priority is to get people to recognize that it's not a sustainable model to continue to spend all their money. I mean, we were part of and some people really can't stand this about us, but we fought to require Amazon to collect the same sales tax here in Arizona as the rest of the businesses. When they're not collecting sales tax, clearly it keeps, arguably over hundreds of millions of dollars.
Right.
Not only out of the economy, but people don't understand. They're outraged that their library's closing. Well, duh. Your trash is going to get picked up once a week. You want to fight a fire with a garden hose? Keep shopping without paying your sales tax. People are not aware of how this impacts our communities.
It also gives them an economic advantage because the local establishments have to charge the sales tax and they don't.
It's ridiculous.
And I think that's unfair in almost any internet commerce where you don't give the local community their benefit.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of internet commerce, we're going to take a break, and we thank you for listening to Two Small Biz Guys. We'll be right back with Kimber Lanning and more on Local First Arizona. Thanks for listening.
Two Small Biz Guys with Zen and Ray. We'll be back after this.
Hi, I'm Zen Benefiel with Be the Dream Transformational Life Coaching and Professional Services at BeTheDream.com. Our mission? To provide leading-edge transformational personal and business development services. Our services include life coaching, enterprise coaching, partnering facilitations, and possibilities coagulating. We've been in business since 1988. In times of massive change, you need someone who can help you adjust and transform. I can meet that challenge with you, offering a stellar skill set from serving individuals and companies for over 20 years. I invite you to peruse BeTheDream.com and put me to the test. Fill out the coaching assessment survey and give me a call. The first call is free, and you can find out if I'm what you are looking for in a coach, consultant, or service provider. Call 480-633-7179. Let your dreams mold future realities. BeTheDream.com.
Business owners want to call their own shots, make appropriate income, and control their destiny. Our passion is to help you achieve your goals. A Pro Peer Advisory Board is just the thing. It's a confidential monthly meeting of non-competitive owners facilitated by a pro who has walked in your shoes. He's your mentor and tormentor, moving you ahead. When you have issues or opportunities keeping you awake, where do you get help? Pro Boards give support and non-biased feedback from your peers. To sample a free Pro President's Board meeting, email ray@propres.com. There's no commitment or charge. Email ray@propres.com. You're listening to Two Small Biz Guys. Now, back to your hosts, Zen Benefiel and Ray Silverstein.
I love that music. What do you think of that, Kim?
I'm into it. I'll tell you.
You know that we chose to use some of the music. Speaking of artistry, I play drums on that.
Oh, cool! Awesome.
So that's
I thought
a blast.
I thought it was all good except for the drums.
Yeah, sometimes I get a little out of time.
Oh, but if you change your name to Tom Tom, it'd be pretty good.
Yeah, well, now and Zen.
Okay.
All right.
Now,
so we're here
now
with
is that now
the
and Zen or
Arizona
now and then?
Superwoman, Now and Zen. Right. Now and Zen.
But I'd like to ask, Kimber, we were talking about internet before we broke off, and I'd like to know about your thoughts on showrooming.
Mm-hmm. So for those of you who don't know, showrooming is where people think it's actually okay to go into a local retail store and try something out. For example, I have a friend that owns an excellent toy store. You can walk in and you have something for a 6-year-old boy, and they've got 9 ideas in front of you in 20 seconds. And people would come in and try out baby strollers, and they'd put their child in the stroller and put the arm up and down and fold it up and push the kid all around the store, and then they'd go, okay, after they'd taken an hour of the salesperson's time, and then they'd say, well, they just say right to your face, well, I'm going to go buy it on Amazon because I don't have to pay sales tax. Can you imagine how infuriating? I mean, we all can relate here, but some people are
Absolutely.
so ignorant. My most powerful story about that, of being disconnected from how business actually works, this is a true story. Eddie Basha, when he was still alive, one of my favorite, he was a
Neat
mentor
guy.
of mine.
Neat guy.
Really neat
Yeah.
guy. He had a longtime customer that was older and passed away, and he knew they didn't have very much money, so he called the widow up and he said, please allow me to provide the food for the wake. You've been my customer for a long time, and it would be an honor. He didn't want to embarrass her because she didn't have that much money. And she said, my God, I just don't know what to say. I'm so grateful. Thank you very much. And he said, now I can bring enough food. You tell me how many people. But I'm not going to be able to bring the drinks. I can bring the bottled water, but I don't have any other drinks that I can offer. And without even missing a beat, she said, no problem. I'll buy them at Costco. That story can almost bring me to tears. It is so amazing to me that somebody could not recognize what a slap in the face that is to this man who is just graciously offered to feed 150 people.
There's two things that are missing that I see in society today. That's consideration and gratitude. And you're speaking to both of those
But
accounts.
it's also a real disconnect. So she is not...
Well, that's what it creates.
She just does not
You don't
understand how business works, how the economy works, or the fact that, of course, she should buy the drinks from Bash's. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, why would you not know
Well, how do we
that?
re-educate?
That's what I do every day, all day, every day. Is when I tell that story in front of a big audience, you can see there's 5 people that are like, "Oh my gosh, I've done that." Because they just need to hear it.
Well, and most of the time that's the case. They don't think
That's
until
right.
somebody brings it up to them, and they go, "Oh."
I will tell you, Zen, I had a woman who was bragging to me about doing all of her holiday shopping online and not paying her sales tax, and how smart she was for not paying her sales tax. And I was tired that day, and I wasn't even going to say anything.
Uh-oh.
Believe it or not. And then later in the conversation, it became apparent to me that her husband was a firefighter. And then I just couldn't sit still. I said, oh, this is an interesting strategy you
Yeah,
have. So
really?
you're trying not to pay into the coffers that fund your husband's salary. Aren't they laying off firefighters right about now? This was in 2012.
Firefighters and policemen.
And she said, oh my God, her face just went pale. It's not that she didn't care. She'd never thought about it before.
Well, people think of me first. That's a premise, and they don't drill down to think the ramifications of the action. But
They're not taught about it. I mean, even in schools and the educational system, these things are missing. How do you build community? How do you, work with groups? How do you create that collaborative sense of duty that is necessary to be a community?
Yeah, and people, onto another thing that I just want to point out is there's a lot of people.
Careful where you point that thing.
A lot of people really are so disconnected from the economy that we have an entire older generation that's still talking about the power of the free market. And I just got to point out that our food is subsidized, our oil is subsidized, our banks are subsidized. Come on, folks. We need to get back to a free economy, and we need to get back to a place where the marketplace is fair and even and allows for competition and allows the little guys to compete right alongside and perform with the big guys. And anybody
a lot of that
you
takes
know,
legislature.
I said just recently, the policies that we've created over the last 20, 25 years have necessarily favored corporations, which has, by the way, put more money into the hands of fewer people and significantly less money into the pockets of the masses. But my point is if you believe in free markets today, you must believe in the tooth fairy. I mean, it's just long gone.
So you were talking about when you First America, or pardon me, First Arizona.
Local First Arizona.
Local First Arizona. See, at my
He's
age,
an old guy.
At my age, I get confused. See, I remember the free market. That's why I don't get confused.
That's right. That's right.
But what is the structure of that? Are you a foundation? Can people make contribution? Is it a membership? First of all, how does it take care of itself? Where does it get the
Yeah.
the free market monies to be able to send its
Right.
message out?
Right. So, so there's a bigger answer than just a quick answer. So we are a couple of things. We are a 501c6 nonprofit organization, which is a dues-driven membership organization. So our members pay dues. All of them pay annual dues. Our little guys, 1 to 4 employees, pay $49 a year. Not a month, a year, all the way up to our biggest sustaining members, which pay between $1,000 and $5,000 a year, and those are our big companies, which I mentioned earlier. So that's a third of our budget. In addition, we have a foundation, Local First Arizona Foundation, which is a 501c3 sister organization. And that organization writes grants and does grants for community and economic development work. And that is another third of our budget. And then a third of our budget is the combined events and what in the nonprofit world you call earned revenue. So we do a wide variety of programs and events that drive revenue back to the organization, and that's the final third. So we run the Devoured Culinary Classic every year. We run our Fall Festival every year. We run the Rural Policy Forum, which is geared toward rural community and economic
Are those
development.
run through the foundation? So they fall under the 501c3?
The Rural Policy Forum does. The Fall Festival and Devoured are under the C6. So if it is directly related, so the way that the government looks at it is if it's directly related to advancing businesses, it's going to fall under the C6. If it's directly related to advancing the community, then it falls under the C3. So the things that we're doing with the C3 have to be for everyone, whether they're in business or not.
Now, speaking of everyone, you mentioned before we went on the air that you're flying around the country doing all kinds of things. How do you see this model that you've created, which is obviously successful and sorely needed throughout the country? How are you being pulled out of Arizona to go help others build similar organizations, or are you expanding nationally?
No, we have no. I mean, local economies means that it is going to be a local organization across the state. But what we do envision is the most healthy for America going forward is an interconnected series of local economies. You know, I meet a lot of folks out there that are just, gung-ho on globalization, and they want to add the jobs that were created without subtracting the jobs that were lost. So to the guy who's scratching his head saying, this lady is crazy, we live in a globalized society. First of all, I get that, and I'm a big proponent of trade. I think that trade is a great thing.
But that global village is made up of local villages.
That's right. And so what I'm not a fan of is the way the goal seems to be that everybody becomes a publicly traded company, which is the fastest way to suck money right out of a community and into the hands of the few at the top. And so my role as the leader now of the largest local business coalition in the country is partly consulting and helping other organizations get going. But it's also, we don't have enough time to go into it here, but I do a lot of public speaking on building quality communities. So what that means is, as you heard in the awards that I've won, looking at economic development might be better thinking about how you can bring the planning and the policies around planning communities and the built environment and how that relates to economic development and the support of locally owned businesses. So you may have noticed in Phoenix, we build a lot of stuff on the outskirts, and it's the same brown stucco stuff. And then you can't even get it leased out to local companies. They only want to put chains in there. And so there's a system there that we need to think differently about.
Well, and back years ago when we had a little more interaction was during the time of Self-Employment Loan Fund, which helped women and minority business owners through microlending and writing business plans and understanding the ins and outs of how to run a business properly. So those kinds of things, are those still around? I know Self is gone. But,
we run a micro-entrepreneurship program through Local First Arizona that is geared toward underserved community members. And it's a 6-month curriculum that is designed to not only help them strengthen and run a wonderful business that will help themselves and their families prosper, but we're helping them earn credit during their time they're with us so that when they graduate, they can get out of the payday lender and into an actual fair market rate loan.
And how do you work with the local chambers of commerce? Since you should have a common issue of wanting to foster the local activities.
We work really well with chambers. If they're interested in partnering on events, we do that very well. If I go out and get a grant in a rural community, I'll go in and partner with the chamber, put their logo, and so we can co-present some workshops together, those kinds of things.
Do you find that the chambers are anxious and willing to want to participate and cooperate?
You can't just say the chambers, because it totally depends on the leader of that chamber. I'd say 60% do and 40% don't.
Oh. So actually, many times that they don't see the whole picture. What they're saying is that my community is different from others, and really, rather than the whole community prospering, I just want my area to prosper even more.
Well, it's more that they want their members to...
They don't understand the ego and we go. It's more we go and transforming the ego to do so.
And right now we have to we go.
We go. Off we go into the wild blue. And thanks for listening to Two Small Biz Guys. We're going to break for another set of commercials, and we'll be right back with you and the excellent conversation we're having with Kimber Lanning. Thanks for listening.
Two Small Biz Guys with Zen and Ray. We'll be back after this. Business owners want to call their own shots, make appropriate income, and control their destiny. Our passion is to help you achieve your goals. A Pro Peer Advisory Board is just the thing. It's a confidential monthly meeting of non-competitive owners facilitated by a pro who has walked in your shoes. He's your mentor and tormentor, moving you ahead. When you have issues or opportunities keeping you awake, where do you get help? Pro boards give support and non-biased feedback from your peers. To sample a free Pro President's board meeting, email ray@propres.com. There's no commitment or charge. Email ray@propres.com.
Are you a small business owner looking for education and information and don't have time for school? Is there an area of your business you'd like to know more about but aren't sure where to go or who to ask? Practical Biz U is an online repository of small business courses now available to you on the web. There are single class options, bundles for specific areas, and monthly memberships for ongoing learning opportunities. Go to practicalbizu.com and sign up today.
You're listening to Two Small Biz Guys. Now, back to your hosts, Zen Benefiel and Ray Silverstein.
And we're here again with the Arizona Superwoman, Kimber Lanning. Love that.
But she's taking off her cape now. She's really going to get serious.
Yeah, that's cereal. So, speaking of cereal, the rollout of your organization and the growth of it, you've got 4 offices, you're statewide, you've grown to 18 employees. What was that process like? How did you deal with that expansion, and what were your challenges?
Mm-hmm.
And
oh my gosh, challenges.
I guess more with what the solutions, the challenge, because
Mm-hmm.
small business owners go through these things.
Sure.
So the more help that, like you're doing, on the economic level, you're also doing on the organizational side too, because you're showing people how to grow an organization effectively, even and negotiate the bumps.
Yeah, so the organization was just me all the way up until 2009, which actually is pretty interesting because I couldn't figure out how to make it work. My businesses kept the organization afloat. I'm pouring money into this thing,
right.
And we grew up to 800 members when it was just me, one staff person trying to hold it all together. And I just kept getting doors slammed in my face. People would be like, well, that's interesting. Or, even worse, that's cute, that weren't understanding sort of the bigger picture. So it took me a while to learn. It's not like I can look anywhere else. There's nobody else that I could look to, right? So
Right.
I had to figure out how to talk about this in such a way that it resonated
You're still
with,
blazing the trail. You don't know where it's going.
There really isn't any place. And now I'm at, we like to call it, buy local 4.0 is where I am. We started with buy local. That's really important. And now we're talking about how local economies should function in the built environment and how that relates to finance. And so there's some really, now I'm talking in the worlds of planning and development and economic developers and others. And so, buy local is obviously where we came from, but it's much more comprehensive than that. So I hired my first two people, and I made the decision to pay them and not me in 2009. I needed the help. And luckily I had my own businesses to keep my own nose just above the waterline.
Right.
And then in 2011, I brought on two public allies. I partnered with ASU, and they had just recent graduates that are part of a AmeriCorps program. And so for $7,500 each, I got two outstanding employees that I ended up hiring, and they provided enough value. And then with the five of us, the rubber started to hit the road. And I began to develop programs that were driving more money. At the same time, I began to get bigger Arizona companies to go, hey, this does have merit. I'm going to write you a check. And so we began to get some elbow grease behind us, and the rest is history. So between 2011 and today, we grew from 5 to 18.
So what I'm hearing you say is that the big difference was that you were able to take off some of those hats and delegate some things that were basically absorbing all your time. So,
well, in different areas of expertise as well.
Sure.
We have media expertise. I think one of our strong suits is we have 30, 40, 50 media partners that help us get the word out and the message out. People are always fascinated. I think in 2015 we were in the media 800 times in Arizona.
well, that's one of the things that impressed me that early on in knowing you was that you were voracious. I mean, and tenacious in getting the word out, talking to people, and you were fearless.
Well, and I think, sometimes I shock myself, but here we are this many years later, and I'm still like that. I mean, I'm still like, wait, there she went.
We were talking about entrepreneurial DNA last week and what that means, and you obviously understand that because this is who you are.
Right, yeah, it is who I am, and I'm a woman on a mission, and, it's there's just so much work to be done.
So what's that woman on a mission do in her playtime, or does she have any?
Well, let me take you back to because I want to.
We're going in the Wayback Machine.
I know that, but I want to talk about the business a little bit because you went from one employee to 18 employees.
Right.
And generally, when you grow in employees, the complexity of the business grows exponentially.
Yes.
And primarily,
you don't wish him more sales; you wish him more employees.
I know, no. But the aspect is that the communication problem increases tremendously because before you talk to yourself, then when you get one employee, you talk to that one employee, so it's 1-to-1. Now you got two employees, now you got three, and it actually goes to 6 times the complexity. So when you add 4 employees, it's really substantial. I could work it out mathematically, but it's very substantial.
It exponentiates.
I know that, but let me get the comment out. So the aspect is...
No, I want to interrupt you.
I know that because you're an interrupter, but... So how do you overcome the problems with the organization?
I still am. It is a constant challenge, and that is one of our biggest challenges. Is the first few people that I hired were very entrepreneurial themselves. They were self-starters, and a team meeting might be like a huddle. All right, here's the goal, way over here, and I'll see you next month. That was literally what our team meetings were like, and I didn't realize how spoiled I was until I hired a couple of people who were really good at what they do, but they needed a lot more structure. They needed a lot more check-ins, a lot more. And so I began to recognize, wow, I'm burning these people out over here because they just keep saying yes, yes, yes. Whereas my personality, if I can't do it, I'm going to tell you I can't do it. But they just kept saying, yeah, I got it until they were just like burnt out. And I thought, well, why didn't you say so?
Because their personality assessments, their S's.
That's right.
And they wanted to please. But
we did a DISC assessment just like that, and we sat everybody down, and we found out that I'm a D, and the two other people early on had different personality types, and now we know who everybody is, and we make jokes about it in the office. So here's my totally D comment, everybody. I am, what does the D stand for? Is it?
Dominant.
Dominant, yeah.
Yes, but also you had even more than the people number issue. You also had locational issue.
Oh, yeah.
So that actually increases the communication and the managerial problems even more so.
Yeah, it's a challenge. And so I've got my 2 folks in northern Arizona and 2.5 in southern Arizona, and I am all over the state. I am literally in a different part of Arizona every week and trying to have those FaceTime meetings, trying to do Skype, trying to do phone calls. And you really do learn the hard way what kinds of things can be lost in the shuffle and lost in translation. When
the lost in the shuffle and translation, the DISC assessments. A lot of people don't know what those are. And they're not just personality, but their communication and problem-solving preferences and how people work. And oftentimes we make assumptions that you're just like me, so I can tell you what to do. I know you're going to do things just like I want you to because you're me.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work.
Yeah,
You've really got to know
right.
who that person is, because it's about your understanding of them in order to get the best from them.
Right. So what I know is that I always pause and have a different conversation with my S's, like a real heartfelt check-in.
Right.
The DISC assessment, you have people, a lot of people relate to this. I am dominant. I'm a D. And what I do is like ready, fire, aim. If I have an idea, I'm gonna run with it, and I'm just, I'm sort of fearless in that regard. My S's, thankfully, they will sit there quietly, and then they will say, so here's maybe why you don't want to do that, very thoughtfully. And I have to be smart enough to hear them, because the dumb D is the one that just ramrods right over the S's in the room. The S's prevent me from running face long into the wall, but you've got to be really careful that you don't burn them out.
And the S's also will put the process in for you.
The process, and I am not, believe me, I, do not ask me for a budget. I think budgets are for wusses, and that's just my personality type,
Okay, because the D basically says get it done. Their motto is get it done. And the S's basically are the ones who put the process in for you. And that's why 50% of the population are S's. But you really need people who are ones who can cross the T's, dot the I's.
That's it.
When I used to go to a meeting, I used to come back and the people say, oh my God, what new things are we going to do today because of that situation? So we really, one of the major issues is that you've grown this business so much, becomes a question is how do you keep it in control so it has the same direction and reaches to your goals that you want to really accomplish.
It is about having a strong set of goals that stay in front of me on a regular basis, and I have to be sure that I'm not one of those people that's like, squirrel, and here we are going over here. My S's need to trust me. I've got I's, S's, and C's on my team, and I really learned through going through that personality assessment how very much they trust me, because just my personality pushes them out of their comfort zone every day. And not that I mean to do that, but here I am, we can do this. And they're running along going, are you sure? Are you sure? And trying to clean up the mess that is behind a whirling dervish that is the vision of the organization. And so we make a great team. And as long as I think I lead with heart and I take care of them the best that I can, I think we're going to be okay. And I burned out one, and I don't want to ever do it again.
Okay, but trust is the key point.
Absolutely.
But at this point, we trust that everyone has enjoyed the conversation.
Absolutely. And we've had this heartfelt whirling dervish here in the studio with us today, and we thank you very much for the conversation, Kimber. It's been lively, intelligent, insightful, and I know our guests have gotten a lot about that. Local First Arizona is the organization. Look them up, support them, get involved. And thanks for listening to Two Small Biz Guys.
Thank you for listening to Two Small Biz Guys with Zen Benefiel and Ray Silverstein. You can hear Two Small Biz Guys live every Wednesday at noon, or catch their show on demand anytime 24/7 right here on StarWorldWideNetworks.com.